Hello, everyone. My name is Julianne Meyer. I am the host of Own Your Wellness, and I'm excited to be here today. First of all, because I'm out of the sun. Oh my goodness, it is so hot. I feel like I'm melting and I'm inside. And my guest today can probably relate because we're close in, like, on the planet. Anyway, without further ado, let me introduce Kyerin Cubos. Welcome to the show. How are
Hi,
you
how's it going?
today?
Good, how are you?
Good. I'm telling you, I walk outside and I feel like my skin is falling off. It's like, for those of you who don't know, we're in California. Whew, it's hot today.
Very hot, very, very hot.
So thank you for being here. You know, you and I had a chance to talk a little bit privately, so I know a little bit about you, but I'd love for you to share a little bit about yourself and your own wellness journey.
Yeah, so I basically have been playing sports my whole life, and with sports comes a lot of injuries.
Mhm.
And so I experienced many, many injuries as I was playing and growing up, and saw a lot of physical therapists. And so I decided that that's the career I wanted to go into. And so I went into school. Wasn't always the best at school. Didn't really learn how to learn until after college. And so during college, I kind of went on the route of more like strength and conditioning and interned with a guy that did more like prehab work, which
Mhm.
was at the time I was learning that wasn't super popular. And so basically just learning how to understand the body and make sure that if you do get injured, it's not going to be as severe. And so I just kind of went down that rabbit hole and learned a bunch of different techniques, got my training certification, got my bachelor's degree in kinesiology, went into more manual therapy and got my massage license and got several certifications going along with that. And then just throughout my journey, kept meeting people that pushed me for different things. And so then
Mhm.
got into more like emotional wellness, working with people through emotional pain and growth mindset and things like that. Got into nutrition, and so my wellness journey has taken me all over, and been experimenting with different things throughout all of that learning. And so, kind of here I am today, working with people on mindset, working through pain, emotional dependencies, and things like that. One of the bigger reasons I do this as well, going back to when I was in high school, I lost my father
Mhm.
at 17. And so he had a very hard childhood. And so a lot of his health ailments were more along the lines of um, more emotional, I believe. He was
Mhm.
a bit more overweight. He was a little bit over 300 pounds and not very active. And so for me, I want to be the one that saves someone else's father from going down that path. Um, and really working on yourself to make sure that you're healthy and that you can be there for your kids, for your family, for the next generation, all those things. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not good that you went through that experience because that's really tough, especially at that age. But I love that you're using that knowledge and wanting to help make the world better for somebody else so that they maybe don't have to go through that experience as well. That's pretty touching. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
You said some interesting things that I kind of want to touch on, but the first thing that comes to mind, and this has nothing to do necessarily with health and wellness, but um, is you didn't learn how to learn until after you got out of college. And most people don't. I mean, I know exactly what you're talking about. Could you elaborate a little bit about that?
Yeah, so when I was going to school, especially in high school, like things came to me very easily.
Mhm.
It still does today, and I didn't realize how it happened. But with math, with science, things like that, like it just once someone taught it to me, I got it. So I was able to um, just kind of like I guess breeze through high school. But when I got to college, was like taking subjects I didn't really care for, and wondering why I was taking certain things. And um, so I started getting into a lot of things, maybe like my third or last year into college. And so those were things I were really interested in. And once I realized how it applied to the real world,
Mhm.
it sparked my interest, and I found myself wanting to learn more and more and read more and just, you know, I'm very kinesthetic, so I like to, be manual and like
Yeah.
just get in and do it. And so then I knew, like, once I started getting more into the health and fitness journey stuff,
Mhm.
like it just sparked my learning itch or whatever you want to call it. So then I would read all these things, but sometimes I wouldn't retain it. And so
Mhm.
as I kept going through it, and then I would teach other people, that's when I really knew that once I learned what I wanted to learn and then taught it to somebody else, that's what helped me solidify, like, okay, I actually know what I just learned. And so whenever I'm going through trainings or certifications or anything like that, I'm always trying to teach it to somebody else for maybe their benefit, and then also
Mhm.
so that I know that I know the material and know the techniques and everything like that.
I like that because, it's interesting how our mind plays such a huge role in whether or not we're going to be successful in anything that we choose. And it could be as simple as you're not interested.
Yeah,
No,
very
I think
much.
that's pretty amazing. But something else that I really wanted to talk about was that, you talk about how you all of your education and how you learned all these different modalities. And, a lot of people might think, wow, you're a professional student.
Yeah.
um, but the thing is, and I'm curious of what your thoughts are, is I always feel like wellness is not just one part. It takes, a bunch of different things. And, nutrition's one part, for example, and, exercise is obviously another one. But I feel like a lot of people miss the behind the scenes work. What are your thoughts on that? The mindset.
Yeah, I think that as we grow up, we're learning how to listen to someone else tell us one thing, and then we go and do that, right? We don't
Hmm.
really learn how to think for ourselves per se. And I credit a lot of that work to one of my history professors at college. He actually um, taught us critical thinking, which I didn't learn until college, which is not very advantageous. But yeah, like learning how to think about things differently and um, trying to come up with a different outcome, the one different than what the one that you're getting. A
Yeah.
lot of people here, and it's very prevalent today with social media and just so many different influencers and telling you, don't eat this, it's bad for you. Don't do that, it's bad for you. And
Hmm.
all this fear mongering, and it's hard to look at and see that every single day. But I think that once you can understand what works best for you, because everyone is
Hmm.
very individual, then you can start to go down a path of like, okay, that resonates with me, that aligns with what I want. Then you can start to start learning about those things. But if you're constantly just saying yes to all the things that are coming towards you, you're just gonna get into overload, or just like that what is it, decision paralysis. You're just not going to
Yes.
do it because there's so many things to decide to.
And
But
decision fatigue. Oh my goodness. That's another
yes,
one too. It's like,
yes,
okay, I can't.
yes.
So, I was just thinking about, the whole idea of the bio individual and how a lot of people, because, I'm a personal trainer as well. And, you know, people come to me and they're like, well, this worked for my friend. So they expect to have the exact same results without realizing that their lifestyle and who they are is completely different. So, it wouldn't work for them
Hmm.
ultimately. Do you see that a lot with the people that you work with?
Always, always, always. My another thing that I got from college was one of our professors would put up like, is this exercise good, or is this exercise good, or is this exercise bad, or is this exercise bad? He did that for a couple weeks, and each time he said, well, it depends. right? And so my saying to everyone is it depends, because like you said, like one, exercise program can work for somebody, another, that same exercise program for someone else could not work. And so it really comes down to the individual and how they handle that exercise program, or how they handle that nutrition program, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever program that they're doing. And I think, it goes back to like what we were marketed, right? Like the one pill that can solve your whole problem, or the one thing that just solves everything, right?
Yeah.
We're just sold that idea of if you just do this one thing, everything will be solved. And so I think that's another thing that goes back to that mindset of, well, I just need that one thing. But
Mm-hmm.
it comes down to, well, you need a lot of things, and it's going to be different from somebody else.
Exactly. I was just thinking too about how, like the root of the problem,
Mhm.
because, you can change all these things and maybe get to your desired weight, for example. Um, but and then still not be happy because you didn't really address what was underneath that caused you to say eat uncontrollably or something along those lines. But I don't know, what would you say is the best way to approach someone, or like maybe think for them to start thinking about things more about, like, instead of trying to attack the symptom, to get to the root of the cause?
Yeah, so I always accredit it to Simon Sinek. He wrote a book called The Golden Circle, I believe. But basically, you ask yourself why, and you
Mm-hmm.
keep asking yourself why until you get to the very deep solution, right? So it's like, I want to lose weight. Okay, why do you want to lose weight? I want to lose
Mm-hmm.
weight because then I'll be at this number, right? Okay, well, what does that number mean? Why do you want to get to that number? Oh, because I want to fit into my clothes. Okay, so why do you want to fit into, like, so you just keep going deeper and deeper, and keep asking yourself, like, why do I want that, and what is that going to give me? And then
Mm-hmm.
you get deeper into like the real reason why, which a lot of times is more emotional.
That's fascinating. And I'm curious too, because I didn't know that that was attributed to him, but the way that I've learned it is that you can't repeat your answers either.
Yeah, that's very important. Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
like, whoa, it's a lot harder. Like when you're
Mhm.
in the hot seat. It's
Yes.
just like I've done it with Forbes Riley. I'm not sure if you're familiar with her, but she's like the pitch queen and all this. And anyway, but when you're like sitting there and she's
Yeah,
asking
yeah.
a it's really
Yeah,
nerve wracking. So
for sure.
do you think that one thing that's really missing? Well, what do you think is the one thing that's really missing in self care? And what I'm getting at, like for me, it might be like what I might say would be showing yourself some grace.
Mhm.
That's to me is like something that's really missing. We're so hard on ourselves. What do you think is one of the number one things that's missing in self care?
Um, I think the thing that's missing with self care is what it looks like for somebody individually. Because I think that it gets pigeonholed into like sitting in a dark room, sitting in a sauna, taking a bath, candle lit, like binaural beats going on in the background. I think it's different for a lot of people, and ultimately, I think it can get to those things. But I think some people are just so high strung that they can't immediately go from there to like sitting
Mhm.
in a dark room for 5 minutes. I think that people can wean into it, and for me at least, I know that if I just go for a walk and listen to calming music, or I go play basketball and I'm
Mhm.
listening to like soothing music, like my form of meditation is more active. I
Mhm.
can do the, like lay down or sit down and meditate as well. But for me, that's more enjoyable. And I tend to
Do it.
do it more, right? Because it's more enjoyable, it's more fun. And I think, yeah, that's the other thing too that I think is missing is consistency. Like, like I tell a lot of my clients to schedule that into their week and
Yeah.
be realistic, right? Don't be like, okay, I'm going to do it for 7 days a week, and then you don't do it. It's like, okay, let's start with one day. One day you're going to dedicate to do that one thing,
Mhm.
and then continue to build on that.
No, I really like that idea too about, not because, I don't know about you, but I see the 0 to 60 constantly. It's like all or nothing. And, I used to work in addiction recovery, and, these people, and this is not, I'm not trying to put anybody down. I promise. I'm just showing an example, and this is normal, but this is an extreme example. People would come in and, they're coming off their drugs, their heroin, for example. And, now all of a sudden they've been sober for a week, and they've been clean for a week, and now they need to have organic, fresh vegetables. I mean, every single day, and everything has to be 100% healthy. It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You were just using toilet water to shoot up a week ago.
Yeah.
I mean, not that there's anything wrong with health, but like you might burn out if you try and go all one way all of a sudden. So I do like
Yeah.
that idea of weeding yourself into it. If there's one thing that you wish that most people would give a try, what would that be?
Hmm. That is a great question. One thing. I think that one thing to do every single day, I think to hold accountable to themselves would be to compliment themselves once a day.
Ooh,
I think that would change a lot of things.
that would. I really like that. I was not expecting that answer whatsoever. So I'm
Yeah.
pleasantly surprised. I like that. And
Yeah.
it's a lot harder than people think it is.
Yeah. And I think to add to that with what you said about the whys is you can't repeat the same thing every day.
Exactly. Because then, yeah, exactly. Then it's kind of the lazy man's way of,
Yeah. Just
yeah,
find one
keeping
thing
that.
and just keep doing that. Yeah.
I like that idea. I think that's a beautiful thing. Um, my boyfriend, he does this thing with his clients because he's a personal trainer.
Hmm.
If they can't accept a compliment or they put themselves down, they have to stop and do 20 push-ups.
That'll get people to change for sure.
I know. I just love that idea, though. At least it gets you more aware of your thoughts,
Yeah.
because a lot of people don't pay any attention to their thoughts.
Mhm.
And I know that you are, a mind into mindset, and that's what you help people learn. So, do you have like, because I know everybody's a bio individual, so do you have a set way of working with somebody, or is it, based on the person?
It's always based on the person for me. Definitely always trying to get clarity on what their actual problem is, right? Getting to that
Yeah.
root problem. Um, and, you know, I don't ever give someone the same program or the same, uh, exercise or nutrition advice or anything like that, just because I know they're I get into their tendencies and their behaviors.
Mhm.
And so, like you said, like if someone's extreme gung ho, I got to do everything all at once, then that's what's getting them into the problems that they're in. So then it's like, okay, well, let's slow down. Let's do one thing, and let's do that
Mhm.
one thing the best we can, and then wean them up. As opposed to someone else who's very slow to start, who's like, okay, I'll do that in a week, or I'll do that next month, right? Then it's like, okay, well, getting into like why they're not doing it, what's stopping them from doing it, and then, going into a program.
Well, I mean, I don't know about you, but I kind of feel like it's not a lack of information, because, if somebody really wants to figure out, I mean, nobody needs a coach. I mean, that's just, now, even like, what's it, LeBron James has a coach. I mean, it's a good thing to have, but ultimately that all that information is available online. So, you what's stopping you really?
Yeah.
We all need to drink water. Most people, like 2/3 of Americans, are chronically dehydrated. So
Mhm.
obviously it's not a lack of knowledge that we need to drink water.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you help people actually drink the water, but working through their mindset, is that kind of a way to put it?
Yeah. I mean, I think at the end of the day, like you said, right, not everyone needs a coach, but someone needs someone there to guide them
Hmm.
from, because your biggest enemy is yourself, right? You're
Yeah.
the one telling yourself, oh, I shouldn't drink water, I don't want to drink water. it's an inconvenience, whatever it may be. And so having that mirror, I guess you can say, in front of you saying like, hey, you're the one that's causing this and you're the one that can get you out. Having someone to be there to tell you the truth that you need to hear, right, I think is super important.
Well, like you said, well, I'm sure you've heard this saying, well, that personal trainer says, like, I can't do your push-ups for you. Like, you still have to do the work, but it's like, it's so great to have somebody there that teaches you how, can show you, and also is there to cheer you on, because, I mean, we're our own worst enemies.
Very true, yeah.
Even people who work on themselves.
Yes, that is very true.
So you have something coming up soon. I'd love for you to share about it. I'm going to actually pop up your website, but just so people can get a hold of like the information there. But I know it's not the best way to reach out for this particular thing at the moment, but I'd love for you to start sharing about that.
Yeah, so I'm going to be doing a workshop. It's called Discover the Real Reason You've Been Experiencing Being Overweight, Creating a Caffeine Dependency and Mystery Aches and Pains. And so it'll be a workshop on September 17th. There is a fee. It's only $50, but what we'll do is do some exercises to kind of see what stressors are causing some things. It's very interactive. You'll get to experience a little bit of kind of like my manual therapy and things like that. And then, get down to like what the root problem is.
So it is an in-person event.
In person, yes.
All right. And so people can text you at this number.
Yes.
And if they're interested in going, where is it going to be?
It's going to be in Newport Beach, right by John Wayne Airport.
Okay.
So if people can make it there, I think I will do a Zoom. Not that day, but a separate day for people that can't make it. I know I have some people of mine that are located elsewhere, so I will definitely be doing that as well.
And what was the date again?
September 17th.
Perfect.
Yeah, it will be at 11 a.m.
And how long is it?
It's about an hour and a half.
Oh, okay. So you can learn those things in about an hour and a half?
Most things, yeah. Not everything.
It's dip your toe?
Yeah, it's more of an experience. Yeah, it's more of an experience. Because a lot of people know that they're stressed, but they don't know why. And a lot of those things like being overweight, having caffeine dependency, and having pains that come out of nowhere are really stress related. And so finding out like what are the stresses in your life and how you can make change immediately to help with that.
So what I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that all three of those things they all go together.
Pretty much, yeah.
And it kind of relates back to stress.
A lot of it, yes.
I don't know anybody who doesn't have stress. I've never met that person.
Right. Yeah.
No, I think that's pretty amazing. And then also, you're on Instagram, right?
I am, yeah.
I've seen some of your videos on there. They're fun. So
yeah, there's some funny videos and there's some informative videos.
Exactly. So, for people watching, they could just get to know you a little bit better as well and kind of see more about you. So I always like to make sure that people can reach out to you on social media as well, because you never know.
Yeah. And I forgot to mention to you that I have a podcast as well. Yeah. And so on there, you'll definitely get to know me a little bit better. I do a lot of dad jokes and puns. And so that's kind of my thing.
Okay. Now you're my friend, because I love dad jokes and puns.
Right.
They crack me up every time without fail. It's kind of sad how much I enjoy them.
Hey, I mean, I normally get eye rolls, but it's all good.
That's when you say that one was for me.
Yeah.
And you laugh.
That's right. I always tell people, I get eye rolls, but I roll with it. So
see, I told you, I'm a glutton. I love them. But on that note, it is time for us to go to a commercial. So we'll be back in just a moment, okay?
Perfect.
For those of you who are watching us live, thank you for joining us, and feel free to leave us a message in the chat. We will try and get back to you live. But before it's time for us to go to commercial. So we will be right back after these messages. Are you someone who is struggling to move forward because you suffered a loss? Maybe you're even finding it difficult to complete the most basic tasks. Are you looking for a way to start enjoying life again without feeling guilty or the resistance to do so? Spiritual life coach Sarah Stockham saw a need for people who haven't learned how to grieve without putting their entire lives on pause. And so she created a program that solves this issue called Choosing Life Right Now. This program is simple and you can do it on your own. If you are ready to learn how to feel your grief while still being able to smile, to honor the sacredness of what took place as a loss, and yet still continue to live with joy, and if you'd like to take care of your whole being with grace and love, then I'd like to invite you to experience her new program called Choosing Life Right Now. Sarah is currently offering her program for the promotional price of $77, but it won't stay at this price for long. To learn more, check out her website. The address is on the screen.
When drug or alcohol addiction take over, things begin to disappear. Your friends, your family, and eventually, you. Recommended by Dr. Phil, New Method Wellness can help get your life back with individualized treatment plans for dual diagnosis clients. New Method Wellness provides the most highly credentialed treatment in a safe and welcome environment. Call New Method Wellness for your free consultation and ask about our national accreditations. Together, we can put the pieces back together.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Julianne, and I'm the host of Own Your Wellness. And let's bring our guest back. It looks like we had a light go out. There we go. Kai, welcome back. I was like,
Yeah,
it wasn't the internet, though, so that's a good thing. So anyway, we were chatting a lot about mindset, obviously, before the break. And, I was thinking about people that, for example, want to be more healthy. And, since you're doing this thing that's like, what's keeping you overweight? Well, what would you say to somebody, or what do you think is a good way to maybe get over the fear of even going to the gym? Because I know a lot of people are so afraid of like just going to the gym to work out. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I always go down to like, what is stopping them? Like, what is stopping them from going to the gym? But even deeper, like, why do they want to lose weight? Why do they want to be healthy? There's definitely something deeper that they're looking for through losing weight, through going to the gym. And so I always go down to that, and then from there start to understand what their commitment level is to doing whatever they want to do. And then just creating a plan with them, right? I think that that's important because, if you get told what to do all the time, it's not very fun, and then you're not going to stick to that. So it's better to come up with a plan together. Like, okay, is it more realistic to go to the gym 3 times a week or 2 times a week? Oh, you know what? It's better for me if I go 1 time a week. Okay, we'll start with 1, and then we'll start ramping up, because if we just go once a week, it's not going to, get you a result as fast as you want. And so that's kind of the process that I use when talking to people about making changes, because making changes is really hard for a lot of people.
Well, we are talking about, say, for example, going to the gym, but it is making changes, and it doesn't matter really what the change is. Ultimately, it's like we were talking before, it's going back to the main part instead of, playing whack-a-mole with how it's showing up in your life.
Yeah. A lot of the clients that I've worked with have done all of those things, right? They've tried going to the gym. I've bought a membership, but I'm not going. And
Yeah.
I've done Weight Watchers and I've lost weight, and then I stopped Weight Watchers and I gained weight, and the whole yo-yo diet and
having some success and then stopping.
Yeah, exactly.
What are some other things that you see? I just want people to realize that they aren't alone, that these are kind of normal reactions or behaviors. So what are some other things that maybe you see people do that are self-sabotaging?
Self-sabotaging, a lot of things. And we touched on it a little bit in the beginning with like giving yourself grace, right? A lot of people are like, oh, I didn't make it to the gym today. So then they tell themselves, oh, I'm not worth it. I can't go. And why didn't I go? I should have gone. And all those shoulda, woulda, couldas. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of like getting obsessed with the numbers, right? Like I gotta weigh myself every single day, make sure that I'm losing weight, as opposed to like, okay, did I eat today? Did I eat well? How do I feel today? There's a lot of going with metrics, right? Like getting exercise bands like Fitbit or Whoop or their Apple Watch, and like making sure I get those rings closed, and just obsessing about the numbers. And I don't say don't use them, but I just caution people, like, this is just an objective measure, not how you feel. So don't go based on that, right? And so there's a lot of different things, but those are the ones that come to my mind right now.
Something I think I'm hearing you say too, is like a through line of everything, is that you help people listen to themselves and figure it out. Like you're there to help them figure it out, and you have, the answers and things, but ultimately, they're the ones that know, like, if something's going to work or not. Like you said, okay, I can go to the gym once. Like I could promise somebody else I'm going to go 5 times a week. That doesn't mean I'm necessarily am. Or, I like the idea of like listening to your body as opposed to paying attention to those rings. Like, did that ring? Yeah.
And I think, as you were saying that, I was thinking about one of the biggest things that helped me change my life was personal responsibility and taking control over your life. And so, a lot of times I'll have conversations with my clients, and I'll know the answer, but I'll always ask them, and then they have to come up with it themselves, because if I just tell them and give them the answers all the time, it's just like if you're going to school and you just get all the answers for the tests, you're not really learning, you're going
memorizing.
So I think that's really important, especially for them, because then they build their own self-confidence, and it's not like, oh, he just told me everything and he just, gave me everything.
Exactly. Well, it goes back to what you said in the beginning too, about how, like, we listen to other people and what they're telling us. We don't learn to think for ourselves. And it sounds like you help people learn to think for themselves, to be able to understand, okay, because like you said, if you just give them the answers, that's not any different than.
Yeah. And I will say too, like, a lot of the work that I do as well is shifting perspective and really asking better questions for them.
Yeah.
And so I think we always get to a point where, you hear a question and it's like, oh, I know the answer to that. And it's like the same answer and question game. And so they're just like auto programmed to say that answer. Right? Like, why do you want to lose weight? Oh, I want to get, fit. I want to be fit. I want to be healthy. Right. So you always get those like same answers, like the same song and dance. And so
Mhm.
once you give them a different question and they really have to think about it, then they can switch in their brain, like, oh, it's not an automatic response. I really have to think about this and
Yeah.
really think about that question.
I love that idea, asking better questions, even to yourself. But, like you said, you're just going to get that programmed answer otherwise. I love that. I love that idea, actually, because it does get people to think, it's like why, only
Yeah.
slightly different.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, I think that's, important too. Or even, just being able to change your perspective from, okay, let's say you ate something that you said you weren't going to, instead of beating yourself up over it, how can you either learn from it or just let it go?
Yeah. That's a perfect example of that. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people, myself included, I've done that. I've done that. It's like, oh, I'm going to give up because I made a mistake. And is it really a mistake? I mean, can I get something from it? Or, and it could be, especially with like cravings and things, that it's your body saying something's out of balance. And if you can figure out what that is, then you won't crave that thing anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
No, I
Yeah.
love that. I love the whole mindset and perspective change and all of that, because ultimately that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, definitely.
So, what would you say is one of your favorite success stories with people that you've worked with?
Favorite success stories.
Yeah.
I would have to say one of my longest standing clients. She might be watching this, so but she came into. I was working at 24 Hour Fitness at the time, but she was overweight. She had just had a pulmonary embolism,
Oh, wow.
and she was using a scooter here and there. So it was hard for her to walk. She has bone-on-bone knees, back pain. And so when we first started working, it was all just for weight loss. And she ended up, what did she say? She said she lost 113 pounds within 2 years that we were working together. And then, she's been on the journey with me of learning all those things. And so then we started working like more on the emotional wellness side, more on the, the mindset and perspective shifting work. And so now she's gotten a better relationship with her husband. She's still losing weight. She's still working on that. But she has definitely changed her perspective of why she wants to lose weight. She definitely has controlled her cravings. She had her knees. She originally came in because she had to lose weight for surgery for her knees. She's not getting surgery anymore. She doesn't want it. And she's walking with like minimal pain.
Wow.
It's never going to go away, I don't think, just because of the structure, but she's able to manage it.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. And she just has a very different outlook on life now. And, we're still peeling through layers of things, but she's definitely, in my opinion, in a very, very different place in her life and very much a better place.
It sounds like there's some joy and some happiness on the journey instead of waiting to get some result to have those thoughts and feelings.
Yeah, I think, like we said before, we're fed this idea of once you get there, then you can celebrate and enjoy it. But it's like, well, the process is where you are supposed to enjoy everything. So,
I heard somebody say something a while back, and it was like a verbal slap, or maybe I read it, but it felt like a slap. And it was that if you don't enjoy the journey, how do you expect to enjoy the destination? And I just thought, oh,
yeah.
I never thought of it like that.
Yeah, that's a very true statement right there.
Yeah, that one was like a truth bomb for me. I really liked that one a lot. It kind of blew up my perspective. So, oh, here we go.
Yes, I am watching. Yep. Figured it out. She figured out how to watch it.
Yay! We love that. Yeah, I love your story. I'm so glad that you were able to share some of it with us because, it shows people that anything's possible. And, also, just because you're told things from your doctor doesn't mean it absolutely has to go that way if you make changes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not saying don't listen to your doctor. I'm just saying you can take some control back.
Yeah, you don't want to start a war there.
Yeah. Every episode, I'm always saying something like, no, I'm not saying.
Be very careful.
I don't want to step on toes or anything like that. And I'm not a doctor, so I have no, Yeah. But I do understand, the idea of, how losing weight would actually help, your knees feel better, for example. And that's the thing too. It's like, if you don't, let's say, she did end up having the surgery and she didn't address the problem, then what happens when the weight comes back? You've already had the surgery. And so it's kind of like, I'm glad that she's taking care of the mental side of things, because ultimately, just because you fix the problem doesn't mean it's not going to come back again, if you don't get to the root of it. So,
yeah, I always like to use the analogy of cars because it's easy for people to get. So what I learned in one of my certifications was like, if your car has an alignment issue, so like the alignment's off, right? You've seen those cars that drive kind of like they're sliding. Yeah. So like your tire burns out on one side because it's in an awkward position. And so the symptom is that the car or the tire is burning out. So you go and replace the tire. But eventually that tire is going to burn out again. So if you just keep replacing the tires, you're not actually fixing the alignment problem, which means you're always going to be buying tires, right? And it's kind of like that analogy of you're going to take one pill, that's going to make you take another pill, that's going to make you take another pill, right? And so to get to the root of the problem, you got to make sure you fix the alignment, change the tire, and then now you don't have issues along the way.
Exactly. I love that analogy. I've never heard it put that way before. But it is, yeah, I like that a lot. So, I was just thinking about the idea of showing ourselves some grace, because, anybody who is trying to make a change, either mentally or physically or, emotionally, it's kind of like this voice pops up, like it kind of self-sabotages. And if you don't know how to like say thank you, but no thank you to that voice, it can take you out in 2 seconds flat. But, being able to build up that positive side of ourselves, do you recommend anything like, I don't know, affirmations, for example?
I have an interesting take on affirmations.
Had a feeling.
Yeah, just because, like you can say it, you can do it every single day, but if you don't have like true intentions behind it and you're not fully believing in it, then it won't be as effective as you want it to be. I actually work with somebody myself as my coach, and so the one thing that he gave me that I think is more beneficial is like finishing prompts, right? So like, if someone's really struggling with their self-worth, it's like, I am so worthy. And because I am so worthy, I'm going to, and then you fill in the blank, right?
I love that.
So it gets you to think about things a little bit differently, as opposed to like, I am worthy, I'm worthy, I'm worthy, I'm worthy. And you just keep saying it. And it's like, okay, how many times am I going to say it till I believe it, right?
Yeah.
So like the prompt gets you to think like, okay, because I'm worthy, I am going to go play golf. I'm going to, take Friday off and go to the woods or something like that, right? So that's something that I find a little bit more beneficial, especially if someone's struggling like a lot with the self-talk and all that.
I like that idea too, because, I love the idea of affirmations, but first of all, I find it like when I'm trying to do it, my experience has been, it just feels hokey. It doesn't resonate with me. And I know that ultimately, if I don't have that feeling behind it, it's not going to be effective for me.
Mhm.
I can say the sky is red as long as I want. It is
Yeah.
never going to be red by me saying that.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true.
So, it's kind of, I don't know, that's kind of how I feel about it. But, there's just certain things that for me, like if I wanted to build my self esteem, I always try to, get outside of myself and be of service to others. So, there's other things that you can do. Is there anything that, that is your go-to?
As far as like self-care or like
Self-care, just ways that you can build your self-worth.
build your self-worth. Uh, I hate to do it, but I have to. It depends on the person.
Uh-huh. That's
But
fine.
for myself, it's like I love playing sports, and I will
Mhm.
always love playing sports. So for me, it's going to play sports, um, and just reflecting on the things that I know that I've done that are worthy, right? And
Yeah.
so um, I think if someone were to start thinking about things that they can do, it's like look back on your life and look at the things that you've done well and that you can be proud of,
Mhm.
and really like have emotion around it, like smile, like really indulge in that moment that you were valuable, that you were worth it, and or things that you've done that you're like, you know what, I'm worth it, I'm gonna go do that thing or pay for that, invest in that, whatever it may be. Once you can start to reflect and feel those emotions, then you can start to like, okay, now that I feel this way, what can I do now to continue this, feeling or
Mhm.
continue this worthiness? Yeah.
So I've got actually a question because, I popped up your website again and I was just thinking control the basics. And I love that name, by the way.
Thank you.
But what I was really thinking was, there's so much controversy. I mean, that's a really dramatic word. But what are your thoughts on like your outside world affecting your inside world and vice versa? So for example, maybe like if you're trying to fix something emotionally by changing the outside world, it doesn't typically work that well.
Mhm.
But what are your thoughts about about doing that, for example?
Yeah. So the reason why I chose Control the Basics was because um, I have always been like a fundamentals type of person. And
Hmm.
so I played many different sports. And so as I was going through those sports, like I'd get like coaching and everything that I did drill wise, like they're like,
Hmm.
wow, you're doing great, you're doing amazing. And then during the games, it was like, eh. But I was always good at the basics, which means that I could play several different sports and be like okay at them. And so like I've always, I guess, admired myself for being able to do that. And so
Hmm.
just bringing that thought process into what I do, I help people just get back to like the fundamentals of what living life is. And so like mindset, physical uh, activities,
Hmm.
nutrition, and also just like spiritually, right? Like they're all four different things, but they all play into who you are. And so once you can control those things, right? Because the only thing we can control is ourselves.
Hmm.
Um, so once you control all the basics, then you can live a life, you know, fully to what you want and what you can create. And obviously, you can get more advanced, but you can't get advanced unless you know the basics. Yeah.
So I was definitely listening, but there's a comment that's actually really funny. I just had it took me a second to figure it out, and I was like,
Oh, yeah. Yes.
I just thought that was hilarious.
That is
Hi,
funny.
Helene.
Yeah. Yeah. This is my
Anyway,
model.
yes, Bone Man. I was like, what? But no, that's the thing too. Is like you said, it seems kind of it's. I always like to consider it like a baking a cake. and you're the cake. And if you don't put in one of the ingredients, it's just not going to be as good.
Right.
You know, so you need all the ingredients to make it good.
That's right. Yeah. And if you don't do it in a certain order, it's not going to be a cake. It's going to be mush.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's not, you can put in the ingredients after you baked the pan and it's not going to be the same.
Very right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I like that idea though, because the one thing you can control is you. So yeah, that's a great name. So, we talked a bit about your workshop that's coming up, but also, what does it look like to work with you, just in general?
Yeah. So basically, the first thing I do with someone is always assess kind of where they're at. So it's either a phone call or an in-person assessment. And so basically, it just depends on what their goals are. A lot of people that I work with are trying to get out of pain, trying to lose weight, trying to get back to playing sports, or just trying to be better at whatever they do. And so with the assessment, we just kind of go through like, okay, what is it that they really want? What's really been stopping them? Getting to the root of that problem, making sure that they're really clear on what that is, and then creating a plan together so that we reverse engineer how to get to where they want to go, and then just start implementing, and then adjust accordingly, because life always throws wrenches into the equation, and so learning how to deal with those things are part of that process. And that's kind of what I'm there for, is to help guide them back to the plan.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, we are almost out of time. But before I ask you my question, I just want to pop up your phone number again as well, so people can text you about your workshop. And then also, I'm assuming they can text you if they want to reach out with more questions about just working one-on-one. Is that an accurate assessment?
Yeah. They can text me and just send me your name and kind of what you were looking for, and we can book a call and
I love that.
see what's going
So,
on.
as I mentioned, we are almost out of time. We got about 2 minutes. So, what are your final thoughts or anything that you want to leave with the audience?
Honestly, I just want to leave that one tip of just compliment yourself every day and try not to repeat it. I think that can change a lot of things in our world, especially with the state that it's in right now, and bring a better light into your day. I think once you start your day with that, it'll start off on the right foot.
I love that. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's I think that's a real game changer. And people don't realize too that something like that can actually help them make those other choices easier. Like it just becomes more second nature because they care about themselves more.
I think, it just, lots of negative self-talk happens a lot. So we need to change that.
Exactly. Well, Kai, I just want to say thank you so much for being on the show today. It has been an absolute pleasure, and hopefully we'll have you back again soon.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was awesome.
Thank you. Have a great night.
You too.
And that is all the time that we have for today. I just want to say thank you for joining us. And also on Monday, which is a holiday here, but in the United States, we're going to have Drew McCurris on, and he's going to be talking about awareness and when it comes to yourself and health and wellness. So we will see you then. Enjoy your weekend, everyone. Bye for now.